Hello everyone, welcome back to another interview today. I'm pleased to be joined by Conditional jockey Ben Hicks. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Keeping safe.
So in terms of what you're doing at the moment, what's this whole pandemic been like for you in terms of the whole experience of the jump season now being over as well? What's it all been like for you?
Yeah, well, it all came to a pretty abrupt stop, didn't it? There wasn't much of a warning that it was all going to happen. But, once it did happen, we started to cut down on our numbers of horses in the yard. And they sort of went out on their early holidays, and we kept in the horses we thought we'd have for the summer. But then obviously things developed then, and it ended up being that there's no sort of set date to when racing's going to start again. So it went a bit quiet, and we're off on the furlough scheme now. Most of Jamie's staff, just really until we've got a bit of a date where we can aim towards now. So it's just a bit of a waiting game to when we can get back to it.
I suppose looking back on last season, it was obviously a very successful season for the whole yard. In terms of your season, through your eyes, how did you assess your season?
Yeah, no, really, really good, really happy. We had a great start. I mean, our award for the horse I rode for Jamie, I rode him 5-6 times, and he had two runs over hurdles, winning both. And that was just when I started with Jamie, so it was great to get those wins on the board. And the horses continued to hold their form sort of all the way through the season. And then from a personal point of view, I'd been going down to David Pipe's most weeks to ride out in school. And I was lucky enough to pick up a ride on Main Fact, who won at Uttoxeter. He then went on and won, I think, 4 more races for Mr. Pipe. And that was great to pick a ride up for him and to be part of that horse's journey as well.
So in terms of riding for David Pipe, what was that experience like in terms of being such a big yard? You've obviously got Tom Scudamore there, a very successful jockey himself. So what was that like for you to get that experience at a yard which is a very successful yard?
It was brilliant, really good. I mean, going down there most weeks there, Tom Scudamore and David Noonan would be in regularly as well, and we'd be schooling together. So schooling with other professional jockeys that you wouldn't normally school with, it's great because you're always learning off them. And then to actually get a ride for the yard it was a real privilege, and I loved it. And luckily it all went to plan, and the horse won. And you fill out a form for Mr. Pipe once you've ridden the horse with all your feedback, so you cover all from how the horse was jumping and anything you noticed that might help it for its future runs.
So in terms of, I want to talk about Hogan's, I spoke to you at Warwick when you were down to ride him in terms of his prep for the Grand National. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic going around, we've not had the National this year. Could the National next season be on his agenda? I mean, it's a long way off yet, of course, and you have to get there in one piece, but it looks like that could be a realistic aim next season.
Yeah, no, I think from what I know, that is the plan. It's just going to be a bit of a longer wait, but no, from what I know, and that is very much the target for him again. He looked to have everyone was really looking forward to him running this year, and off a low weight, and it looked like he would have got a run. So it's disappointing, but there's a bigger picture, and fingers crossed he can get there in one piece next year and run a good race.
So in terms of his run at Warwick, what did you make of his run there? I think he finished 5th that day, and he stayed on very well towards back end of the race. But what did you make of it around that race at Warwick?
Yeah, no, delighted with that run. It was a stepping stone to the National. Like his previous run at Aintree over hurdles, when I rode him there before, he went and won the Grand Sefton. So we were delighted with that run because we knew he would come on for the run. And we didn't chase a strong pace early because we wanted him to get home, and they soon came back to us, and he finished 5th, and everything was positive coming out of that race. He was very well coming out of the race and cantering away again, so it couldn't have gone any better really as a prep run.
So in terms of your going back to you as a jockey, in terms of your early career, was you always brought up around horses? Was racing always going to be the career you looked to pursue?
I was always brought up around horses and ponies. I'm coming from the New Forest, so my parents have had horses their whole lives as well, and I started riding from a young age. And racing wasn't really on my agenda really until I was 18, 19. I mean, I left college and went and worked for William Fox Pitt, obviously a top event rider, and that was my sort of aim for a long time, was to be able to go and work for him. So once I spent the season with him, I then just started taking more of an interest in racing, and there was a local point-to-point yard, a small trainer called James Young, who I went and rode out for and started schooling, and then I sort of caught the bug, really. So, it went from there.
So in terms of being with Jamie Snowden, how long have you been based with Jamie?
I've been with Jamie just about a year now.
So in terms of was you anywhere else before moving to Jamie's yard, or was it just coming off back of point to point and going straight to Jamie's?
No, I started in a flat yard. I went to work for Rafe Beckett after Fox Pitt. So I spent the summer with Rafe Beckett, and then I moved to Lambourne, where I was based with Warren Greatrex. Spent 2 years with Warren, the second year of those as an amateur. And then I went out to France initially for about a month, just to school and gain some experience. And I ended up staying for 14 months and riding out there and gaining, it's a total different way out in France. So, I learned a lot, and that sort of helped me going forward from now. So, once I came back from France, I got my conditional license out with Warren, and had 2 seasons with him as conditional, and then I moved to Jamie's just so I could progress in the way I wanted to, and here we are now.
I mean, just going back to the Warren Greatrex topic, I saw on Twitter a couple of weeks ago when everyone was mentioning about the 4 horses that meant a lot to them. Cole Harden popped up in that list. I mean, was you in and around the yard when he won the World Hurdle in 2015?
Yeah, I was there when he won the World Hurdle, and that would probably go down as one of my favourite days to be involved in racing, because it was, any festival winner would be massive for any yard, but the fact that he wasn't a fancied favourite or anything, I mean, we obviously fancied him as a yard because we wanted him to do as well as he could, but to all be there and watch it together as a team, it was a massive lift for the yard, and those are the days that you're really so glad to be involved with. And
just finally to conclude with, once hopefully racing gets back to I'll start that again. Sorry. Once we get back racing, whenever that will be, what would be the aims for you for next season in terms of just for your own progression?
It's really just to hit the ground running as soon as we can. I mean, I know Jamie will have all the horses he can have ready straight back, and as soon as we're allowed to get racing, he'll want to hit the ground running like we all will. So it's basically just making as big an impact as soon as we can, so that we can lead on into next season and on a bit of a roll like we did going into the season just gone. So, the sooner the better, but obviously there's more important things to take into consideration. So I'm sure once that all gets sorted out, then we can get going as quickly as possible.
Well, that's brilliant, Ben. Thank you. Well, I'll just stop the recording here quickly so I've got it, and then I'll let you go as well. Right.